Hi, this is Steven with Lighting Up Your Life Studio. I'm a local event photographer in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I want to give you some thoughts on how you can make sure that you have a successful experience hiring an event photographer, whether that's me or somebody else. So, most important thing is make sure you have a conversation with them prior to signing a contract, prior to booking them. With me, you can actually book a free 30-minute call either through Zoom or phone through my website. Very, very important. We can have that call and make sure that we're on the same page. Now, what's going to be helpful is if you can provide as much information as possible so that the photographer knows exactly what to expect. For example, let's say you've booked a venue for your event. What kind of venue is it? Is it a restaurant? If you booked a restaurant, did you book the entire restaurant or did you just book a private room in the restaurant? What about parking? Is there parking on site? Is it free? Do they have to walk half a mile? What about near the venue? Is there something else going on? Like, is this the venue in Half Moon Bay during Pumpkin Festival? Is it in Carmel during Car Week? Is it in downtown San Francisco at the same time as a Giants game or a Warriors game? That's information the photographer needs to know up front. If you disclose that up front, the photographer can tell you, oh, it's going to take me an extra hour to get there. I'm going to need to block off an extra hour on my calendar. That's going to cost some extra money, but it's going to ensure that I'm there on time, ready to shoot your event, right? Then it's no longer your responsibility, it's the photographer's responsibility because you've disclosed that information up front. That ensures that you're both on the same page and the photographer is going to be there when you want. There's no stress, there's no drama, right? Other information. The more you can tell them about the venue itself. Is it a dimly lit room? Is it small? Is it cramped? Is it big? Is it, say, a little kind of darker inside and then really bright outside with like really big windows? That's going to impact the photos. Other restrictions on, say, flash or other lighting. Have you gotten permission from the venue to photograph there? That's a big one. Also, timing of the event. Are you hiring the photographer to arrive on site at 7 o'clock? Or are you expecting them to start taking pictures at 7 o'clock? Those are very different things. For, say, a kid's birthday party in a park, if they show up at 7 o'clock, that's totally fine. There's probably nothing happening at that moment. They can take a few minutes to unload their equipment. They can start taking pictures at 7:10. Totally fine, right? If they're 5 minutes late, totally fine. But if you have, say, a big fundraiser and you've got a VIP guest walking in the doors at 7 o'clock and you expect the photographer to be there taking pictures of that moment, then you're not actually booking the photographer for 7 o'clock. You need to book the photographer to be there at, say, 6:30, right? That provides a little bit of buffer time in case there's like an accident on the freeway, something else they can't control. Also gives them time to get there, to find parking, unload their equipment, walk in, touch base with you, find somewhere to stash any equipment that they have, gives them a chance to walk the venue, ask some questions. That way, when the guests show up, they're ready to go. They're ready to take pictures. They've got their settings all dialed in. If guests have questions like, where's the restroom? The photographer knows that information. They don't have to say, I'm sorry, I have no idea what's going on. I just got here, right? Very important. So just tell the photographer ahead of time, up front, what does that timeline look like? Are you expecting them to take pictures at 7 o'clock or are you expecting them to arrive at 7 o'clock? Two very different things. Also, within the event itself, there's like a specific schedule of events. Say, from 7 to 7 o'clock or from 7 o'clock to 7:15 is cocktail hour. Or let's say 7:20 special guest arrives. 7:30 there's a speech. Tell the photographer all that information up front. If you can give them a list in writing, that's ideal. Tell them up front if there's like an event coordinator or someone who's going to be shepherding all of this. Does the photographer need to be standing at a particular place at a specific time in order to get a specific shot? Is somebody going to tell the photographer when something is happening? Like, hey, we're going to go ahead and move on to this thing. Or does the photographer just kind of need to figure that out? Also, you should talk through with your photographer certain things like, for example, what's more important to you? Is it more important to you that the photographer is quiet and unobtrusive and out of the way? Or is it more important to you that the photographer gets the shot, right? So, for example, if the photographer needs to stand in front of somebody and block their view to get the shot, is that what you want? Or do you want the photographer to stand to the side? Maybe they don't get the perfect shot. Maybe they don't get the shot at all because getting the shot would involve standing in front of an important guest, right? talk through that ahead of time so the photographer knows, hey, the client wants me to get this shot. This is my job. This is what I'm getting paid for. It's okay to do this, right? Same thing with like flash. If there's some reason that photographer shouldn't use flash, if it's going to be distracting to you, talk through that ahead of time. The photographer might need to use flash to get the shot. Otherwise, your pictures may be dark and grainy, right? Talk through that ahead of time, because that sets the expectations ahead of time so that you don't end up disappointed because, oh, your pictures are dark and grainy because you asked the photographer to not have flash, right? Talk through that ahead of time so that everybody knows and there's no disappointment, hard feelings later. Also, just important to understand that this is a live event and stuff is going to go wrong. So the more that you talk to your photographer ahead of time and you end up in sync and on the same page, the more that you can both operate sort of as one entity to capture exactly what you want. Like if you have a shot list and you've told the photographer ahead of time, like, hey, these are the shots that you just absolutely have to get or it's going to be, crushing for us. And then these ones are less important. If the timeline gets thrown out the window, things don't go according to plan, if you don't get those shots, probably not the end of the world. But these shots, please get these no matter what, even if you have to be rude. Just talk through those details ahead of time. Sets the expectations for everybody. The photographer knows exactly what they need to do to succeed, and you know that the photographer is going to get what you want, right? So hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you need a photographer here in the San Francisco Bay Area or in the surrounding area, let me know. Happy to help if I can. You can book that free book consult call through my website. Happy to have that conversation, and we can see if this is a good fit and what we can do to make that successful for you. Have a wonderful day.